Hi, I'm starting over again because it froze. We left off right here. This is the Santa Barbara mission. The men had come to the beach to search for furs and to fish, but they were not the cruel ones who had come many years before. They had heard the story of the woman and decided to search for her too. It had been 15 years now since she was left there, and Padre Gonzalez had sent Thomas Jeffries to the island to look for the woman. He searched the island and he found one of the huts, but it did not look like anyone had used it for many years. If she ever was here, she is probably dead now, he told his men. They returned to Santa Barbara with the news that no one was on the island. He told the people the island was 7 or 8 miles long and about 3 miles wide. He told them about the interesting hut made of whale bones. He showed them a cup he had found. He also told them about the many otters that were once again at San Nicolas Island. For many weeks, the lost woman of San Nicolas was talked about at Santa Barbara. Was she there? Could anyone live that long alone on an island? What about the hut and the cup? An American seaman, Captain George Nadiver, heard these many stories. He wanted to find out if the woman could still be on the island. He wanted to find some of these sea otters too. He hired a crew of Indians and took a ship to the island. They landed on the beach on a sunny day when the butterflies were there. The cactus were covered with yellow flowers. There was no sign of any human life. They looked around for a short time for the woman, and then they saw the seals and the sea otters. They lost interest in the search. They killed seals and sea otters. They made a camp on the beach using oars and a piece of sail for a tent. They stayed there for 6 weeks. They caught the seal when it slept on the beach. The seals were not used to people and were not afraid, as the men sneaked up on them with ropes. Within a few minutes, a seal could be caught, killed, and skinned. The sea otters were caught by throwing nets into the sea where they played in large numbers. When it was very windy, the sea otter would bury its head under the kelp and would not see the man coming with their nets. The men stayed until they had all of the furs they could carry in their boat. They took down their tent and rowed their small boat to the ship. The woman had been watching them and had been thinking about going to them. How she would like to talk to people again, but she could not know for sure if they would be kind or cruel. She knew some of them were Indians, but she didn't understand their words, and she had not understood the words of the cruel men who had killed her people. Here's their boat. As the men got into the ship and made ready to leave, a big wind came. The seas were boiling with waves. The mast broke on the ship. The anchor chain broke. The men had to work hard to save the ship. They fixed it and started sailing away in the rough sea, hoping to get away from the dangers of being washed onto the rocks. One of the men looked at the island through the rough spray of the sea. What a lonely place to spend even a few weeks. I don't think any woman ever lived there for years, he said. Just then he saw a figure of a person on the hill. He blinked his eyes and leaned over the rail to see better. Look, it's her, he yelled through the storm. The others looked at the hill as the spray got heavier. Soon the figure was gone. It must have been a tree, one said. No, she was running along the hill waving at us like she wanted us to see her, he replied. But once again the ship had to leave and make for safer places. When the ship returned to Santa Barbara, they told the people of the strange sight. In July 1853, 18 years after the woman had first been left alone on the island, Captain George Nadiver once again sailed for San Nicolas. He was going to search the island until he proved one way or another that the woman was alive or dead or never on the island. He knew there were old huts and signs that people had been on the island. These could be hers or they could have been left by fishermen. He must have something better to prove if she were there or not. The first night they landed on the island and set up their camp. Captain Nadiver walked along the beach with Charles Brown, a friend. He looked at the waves washing in on the lonely sand, and then suddenly he stopped. Look, there in the sand, a footprint. It was a slender, small footprint, and a whole trail of them led away from the beach to the low sand hills. It's her, it has to be. She is living. After all these years, she still lives, he yelled. So here they are seeing the footprints. "We are friends," he called. "We have come to take you to your people. Come out to us. We won't hurt you." He knew the woman must be very near. The waves had not even washed away her footprints yet. He felt very sad that he had been here before and not found her. How lonely she must have been, and how afraid of us not to come out. He thought of how she had been seen running along the hills waving at them. They searched and searched for her. They found some of her hidden food. They found a new dress that she had started to make out of bird feathers. They found her camps, but they did not find her. "She must know every cave and hiding place on this island," he said to his friend. "We will get the crew and start searching this island. We are not leaving until we find her." They searched for days. No one could find her. They began to think that the footprints must have been something else. The moonlight may have fooled them. But Captain Nediver wanted to search one more time before leaving. Again they searched. Captain Nediver found a piece of driftwood a long distance away from the beach. "Someone carried it here," he said. "She is here and we will find her." "We are looking for a ghost," the other men said. "If she was ever here, she is gone now. We have looked everywhere. Let's go back to our families." But they knew the captain had made up his mind, and they searched again. Charles Brown climbed to the highest hill. He looked around the island in every direction. He could see the men searching along the shore and the hills. Then he saw what looked like a crow in the bushes. He crawled along toward the object. "A bird would see me by now and fly away," he thought. As he got closer, he saw that it was the head of the Indian woman. She was hiding in one of her huts, watching the men below, and had not seen him coming. He stopped and watched her. He saw that she had a knife. He saw a small fire burning nearby. He heard her talking to herself. It must have been her own voice that kept her from hearing him. As he walked toward her, he spoke. She quickly turned around. Her dogs growled and showed their teeth. She was surprised, but she called to the dogs and they became quiet. Suddenly she smiled. It was over. Finally, a person had found her. She would be able to speak to someone. She would once again see her people. The Indian woman wanted the man to know she was friendly. She gave him some food. He smiled and took it. He called to the others, and they came. They did not understand what she said, but they knew she was happy to see them and to talk. They all tasted her food. They made motions to her to pack her things and follow them to the beach. She understood and took her favorite things. All of them she had made. She left her dogs. They had been her only friends on the island these 18 years. But they would be happier here with their own and in their own home. She knew what it was like to be away from your own people. The Indian woman went with the men to Santa Barbara. She told the people there of her life on the island. They did not understand her words. Not one of her people, the people of Ghalas, could be found. Many had died. Others had mixed with other Indians and were no longer a people together. There were many sights at Santa Barbara that were exciting to the Indian woman. She had never seen a horse or a wagon or large homes. She had never seen so many people. She had never heard the church bells ring or the music of the singers. She enjoyed the sights and sounds. She lived with Captain Nediver and his wife. People came and visited and brought gifts. She always saved the gifts to give the children. She had lived many years alone and needed little. She loved the children. She often smiled and had tears in her eyes when she saw a small child. She thought of that baby she once had on the island off the coast. It was dead. She had no child of her own, but she had done all she could do to save it. After a few weeks, she became weak. She loved to sit on the porch with the children. She is sitting on the porch. She loved to sing to them in her own words. She loved to attend the church. She had been given a name by the padre. No one knew her Indian name. She was called Juana Maria. Mrs. Nediver tried to get her to eat her native foods. Juana Maria became very ill and died. She was buried at the Santa Barbara Mission. Juana Maria never went to school. She spent all but a few weeks of her life on Ghalas, San Nicolas Island. She spent 18 years of her life away from all people. She had seen the cruelty of people in the way they killed the sea otters and the seals, and even her own friends. She had lost all of her people. She was the last of the people of Ghalas. She had learned her lessons of life very well. She knew how to care for her needs. She kept the fire burning, it never went out. She passed her tests, and today her life teaches all of us what the commitment and the love of a mother for her child should mean. And there is a marker that looks like this that is at the Santa Barbara Mission. This marker was placed on the wall of the Santa Barbara Mission near where the lone woman of Ghalas was buried. They called her Juana Maria. And the plaque says, Juana Maria, Indian woman abandoned on San Nicolas Island, 18 years, found and brought to Santa Barbara by Captain George Nadiver in 1853. Santa Barbara chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, 1928. All right, so this is the true story of Juana Maria. Dun, dun, dun. All right, thank you for joining me.